Hi guys, today's video is dedicated to what can be made from modeling compound, what kinds of items, and a short instruction on how to work with this material. So modeling compound consists of two components. This is a mineral powder, component A, and a liquid and acrylic dispersion, component B. On component B, you will find the instructions on how to mix the components and the features of working with them. Be sure to read the instructions before use. To correctly measure the ratio of the two components, we will need a scale, a container for mixing, and a spatula for stirring. The components must be measured only in grams, because if you measure them in milliliters, problems may occur. The most important thing is that the powder should be twice as much as the liquid. That is, for 200 grams of powder, we use 100 grams of liquid component. Mix the composition in the container very thoroughly. Even if you think you have been stirring for a long time, make sure there is no dry powder left at the bottom or on the sides. After mixing, the product should turn into a paste that holds its shape very well. It must be uniform, make sure of this. Next, to make the mixture thicker and more moldable, we recommend adding a stabilizing powder for modeling compound. This special powder makes the mixture even thicker and even better at holding its shape, while remaining soft and easy to work with. The powder and the proportions for its use are written on the packaging. We also weigh it in grams. Now I mix it very thoroughly with the powder. This mixing can be a bit harder because the product is now very thick, but still try to mix everything very well. After mixing, I will show you a little trick. I can lift the entire mass I have prepared, and even when I turn the spatula upside down, despite being quite heavy, the mass stays firmly on it. As you can see, this condition means everything is ready. And now we begin working with this material. Our first project with modeling compound is a flower-shaped dish. For this we need baking paper, also called parchment paper. We use it as a non-stick surface. Modeling compound does not stick to baking paper. That's why we use it as the base. A quick tip: I use baby oil. I rub a little on my gloved hands. If you work without gloves, use baby oil too. It keeps the mix from sticking and makes shaping easier. I take the mixture from the container, form a ball. I press it into an even flat round. With a soft brush, dampened with water, I smooth the surface. With a palette knife or any small knife, I trim the edge into a clean circle. I use plastic lids as a support and leave the piece to dry for a while. Before drying, you can smooth the edge more if you want, or leave it as it is because we will add decorations later. I recommend waiting at least 2 days before continuing work. When the piece is completely dry, it easily comes off the baking paper. It will be firm enough to keep working. Full drying takes 5 to 7 days before painting. Now I put on gloves again. I oil my hands. I take the prepared mixture. I roll it into a long rope and cut it into small pieces. I shape each piece and attach it on top of the dish. Make sure to press them well from both sides. With a damp brush, I smooth the joints so that the details connect perfectly with the base. Next, I make round petal shapes. The process is the same. I place them in one row and then add another row. All shaping I do with a soft synthetic round brush, dampened with water. Do not use too much water, it can cause cracks later. For the second row of petals, I use a piping bag. I put the mixed compound into the bag and pipe small portions directly on the piece. Then I shape them with the brush. This is faster and easier than rolling each piece by hand. When the piece is fully dry, you can sand it lightly and paint it in any color you like. I painted mine white and added golden accents with liquid gilding. The result is a very beautiful flower-shaped dish. You can create any other shape you like. This is just to show the working principle. From here, it is all about your imagination. The next project with modeling compound is to create a vase. This will be a vase in the shape of an artichoke. As a base, you can use a glass jar or a plastic jar, it does not matter. You can even use any solid, stable surface as the base. The working principle is simple. We again use a piping bag. From the piping bag, I apply small portions of the mix directly onto the base. I start from the upper part. Using a damp brush, I smooth the piece, then I stretch it slightly and flatten it on both sides, giving it a rounded triangular shape, like an artichoke petal. It is very important to work evenly, row by row. Going around the base, I recommend creating such items in 2 stages. On the next day, add the petals to the lower part. Why do I recommend adding the petals in 2 stages? This prevents the petals from sliding down under their own weight. In 2 stages, you can also fix the upper petals that you do not like, add more if needed, and complete the lower rows. After drying, the vase is ready for sanding. Sanding is very important because even if you smooth the material with a damp brush, it is hard to get a perfect porcelain-like finish without sanding. Inside the vase, we have a plastic bottle, so you can use it for real flowers and water. Drying time before painting is 1 week. You can sand earlier, but wait a full week before painting. If you paint too early, cracks or changes may appear, because the material will still shrink as water evaporates. This is why it is best to paint only when the vase is completely dry. Now I'm painting this base white. You can paint it in any color you wish. I chose to paint with a brush and acrylic paint, but you can also use spray paint if you prefer, or acrylic paint or any paint suitable for ceramics. This is entirely up to you. I've shown you the artichoke petal design, but you're not limited to botanical motifs. You can sculpt anything onto the base, even a figure or a face if you wish. This material gives you endless possibilities. It's time to move on to creating 3D paintings with modeling compound, because this material allows us to create any thickness, even the most extreme. I want to show you 2 ways of making paintings with this compound. The first method is, in my opinion, the simplest but also very effective for interior art. We start by using compound mixed from the 2 components without adding stabilizing powder. Here we don't need it. We spread the mixed compound over the entire surface. Then we smooth it out using a damp brush and a palette knife or even any construction spatula to make the surface even. Next, I create a pattern with the palette knife. The design can be anything you like. I'm just doing it as I feel without a set plan. You can sketch something in advance or copy an existing design if you prefer. Then, with a damp brush, I gently smooth all the details. It's easy to do, but it requires a bit of patience and time. After drying, I recommend waiting 3–5 days. You can sand the surface with fine sandpaper for perfect smoothness. Then paint it in any color you want. I'm painting mine with white acrylic paint and a brush. You can, of course, choose any color that suits your space. The result is an artwork that looks complex, but is actually very easy to make. It's an inspiring and enjoyable process that gives a very impressive look. As you can see, the final effect is beautiful. It's time to move on to a more complex project, creating the second type of 3D painting. In my opinion, this one is a bit more challenging than the previous one because it requires more compound and more work. These paintings look incredibly striking. For this project, we'll be using a canvas. If you plan to work on a large-scale piece, I recommend priming the canvas with texture paste first. This will prevent the canvas from sagging or warping, which can lead to the same cracks I've mentioned before. In this tutorial, I'll show you exactly what I mean. So, just in case, apply texture paste beforehand and sketch your design with a pencil or marker so you have a guide to follow. I'll be using a piping bag filled with a 2-component mixture without stabilizing powder. It's not needed here. I'm using the bag simply as a personal preference. You can apply the material with a spatula or palette knife if you prefer. For me, the bag makes the process easier. If you don't have one, simply apply the compound with a spatula, following the sketch design. The method is the same. I apply the compound along the lines, then smooth it out, just like when working on the vase. I continue building the design bit by bit. My canvas here is quite large, but this technique also works beautifully on smaller canvases. You can create a diptych or triptych by placing several smaller works together. The most important part is shaping the design well. Another tip: if you use too much water on your brush when smoothing, especially flooding the surface, be prepared for cracks after drying. Thick layers, lots of detailing, excess moisture, and canvas warping all increase the risk. The more water remains in the recesses, the more likely cracks will appear later. I also work a lot on the edges. Adding volume to the edges makes the painting look softer and fuller. This is optional, but it creates a very striking effect. On the second or third day, you can add another layer of compound, especially to fix uneven areas or increase volume in certain parts. This work needs to be done in stages. After complete drying, cracks may still appear. They are not caused by the material itself, but rather by canvas deformation during drying or excess water. It's impossible to avoid 100% of them, so don't worry, just fill the cracks with more compound. Let it dry, sand it slightly, and they'll disappear completely. The next step is sanding. This stage is crucial. Only sanding will give you a perfectly smooth finish. Texture paste or paint alone won't achieve it. Take your time and sand thoroughly. Then you can paint the piece however you like. I usually use a soft brush and white acrylic paint, but you can choose any color. By the way, if you're interested in coloring 3D works, watch the second part of my texture fiber video. It has several techniques, including beautiful gradient effects. The finish plays a crucial role in how the final result is perceived. It's an essential part of the work, and it can go both ways. It can elevate and highlight your piece, or it can completely ruin it. That's why color choice and application should be approached with the same level of care and intention as the creation process itself. Follow our instructions closely to ensure your finish truly enhances your work. Just look at how stunning pieces made from this material can be. You can see how many possibilities it opens up for an artist. Wishing you lots of creative inspiration. Stay with us, there's so much more to come.